from now is Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm originally from, enlisted in the Army in Durango, Colorado. So, you know, my name is Joseph W. Malberg, or Joe Malberg. I go by Joe Malberg. So, okay.
What unit were you attached to?
Oh, the unit? Yeah. I was with the 25th Infantry, 27th Wolfhounds in Cu Chi, Vietnam, or I guess that's what's called Tay Ninh now. I don't know.
What dates or what years were you?
Oh, I was there from October of '69 through, I think it was September of 70. And I got an early out, actually. I was only in the service for like 21 months, but I spent 11 months in Vietnam.
10 months garrison time, huh?
Yeah,
Man,
and I was in the field probably 9 months out of that. So.
What was your job title while you were in the military, sir?
Well, I started out as I was just an infantryman, what was it, 10B something?
11B.
11B, yeah. And then after I was there for like a month or something, they apparently looked at my shooting scores and decided that they wanted to make me a sniper. And so they sent me to sniper school, and I spent the rest of my tour in Vietnam in the field as a sniper.
What were your initial reactions as a young man, you know, like the first 2 or 3 days when you got in country? What were the first thoughts that you might have had, sir?
You know, I didn't really have any preconceived notions about the war, if that's what you're referring to, or anything like that. I do distinctly remember when I was flying over there that I was bound and determined to come home. And I don't know, I just had this intuitive feeling that I was going to make it through and come back. When I got in country, it was, you know, you're a young man and you just kind of go with the flow. And, you know, when you're in the service, you do what they tell you to do. And they put you on the trucks and they deliver you to the base camp. And then, you know, hopefully they feed you once in a while. So, anyway.
Do you have anything in particular that might stick out in your head about your experience in Vietnam, sir?
Well, you know, as a sniper, I had various occasions to shoot people or something like that, even though I never ended up shooting anybody. But I do remember one particular night when we were out on patrol, and we were sitting there, and we saw this figure out there across these rice paddies, and we were, you know, they said, "We'll go get the sniper," and so they come and got me, and I went over there and set up and was ready to shoot this individual, and somebody says, "Wait!" I says, "That's a kid," and there was some. The kid had one of those jars, and they were collecting fireflies. You know, that's what they used for illumination over there, was the fireflies. And so they says, you know, I was about ready to shoot, and they says, no, and so that we ended up not shooting. And so, but you know, there was various occasions, I guess. Sniper school was interesting, and it was actually a retreat from the field, going back to base camp and spending 6 weeks in sniper school. And other things, we went over to the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and you know, we worked over there for a while. And I do remember one specific frightening incident when I was over there. We were out on patrol, and when you set up over there on patrol, they put you in a perimeter like this, and you know, and then the headquarters, you know, all of the radio people and the captain and the lieutenant and everybody else are in the center of the circle. Okay, well, I went over, and I was tired, and I went over and I laid under a tree and ended up falling asleep. And I wake up, I don't know, an hour and a half later, and everybody's gone. I thought, oh man, talk about scary. And so I got my wits about me, and I started looking around, and looking at the tracks and the, and where they'd gone, and so I started following I started praying first, and then I started following these tracks, and I finally went over. They had moved the perimeter on me, and somebody hadn't notified me that I was in fact was there, and I had fallen asleep. And so anyway, I went over and I walked right through the perimeter and back to the headquarters unit inside of the perimeter, and I don't think anybody even knew I was gone. So yeah, that was another interesting experience, I guess you might put it. But my only other really memorable experiences were going on R&R to Australia and Hong Kong. But Vietnam is one of those things that I guess a lot of people are affected differently by their experience over there, and some of them come back with PTSD and all kinds of memories. And I have a friend that was over there, and whenever we go to a restaurant, he's paranoid about sitting with his back towards the door. And so, but I really I don't think I had any really experiences like that, nightmares or any of that sort of stuff, even though I did see some actions. And I remember a couple of nights when we set off claymores and that sort of stuff, and but we didn't find any bodies in the morning. There was a little bit of blood around, that sort of stuff, but no, it was nothing really that stands out, and I've probably forgotten about most of my experiences over there. So, but like I said, when I got back, I was totally adjusted, and people say, well, they weren't recognized when they come home, and I didn't really even notice that much, or particularly cared about whether other people thought about what the war was about. And at that time, I hadn't even formulated an idea or a philosophy about the war, even though I have since decided that it was probably a war that we shouldn't have been in. But that was when I went over there. You're in the service, you're there to serve your country, and you do what they tell you to do. And that was just a matter of separating the war from the warrior, as the gentleman mentioned the other day. So it was one of those things we did that we had to do, and unfortunately it didn't. It was probably, well, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was wasted. I suppose we did some good over there, but anyway,
I know
neither here nor there.
I know a lot of veterans, especially come back from deployment, talking about an adjustment period, from being in theater to coming back to the United States. Did you maybe struggle or find any part of adjusting different, or maybe a little bit harder than you thought it might be from coming back to Vietnam to back in the States there?
I didn't, and I think it may have been just because of my short period in the service. And when I came back, I went back into graduate school, and I was among a bunch of veterans, and most of them were Vietnam veterans. And so, I don't know, I guess they sort of added support and that sort of stuff, and encouragement and that sort of thing. But I didn't really notice, too much of an adjustment. If you're gone for a long period of time, I could see where you might have an adjustment problem coming back, but I didn't seem to notice that much. And in fact, it was a benefit to me that when I came back, I had the GI Bill, and I could actually then afford, without having to worry about money, to go to class and get a degree. So, anyway.
Do you think, in your opinion, sir, the benefits that you gained from being in the service, how beneficial do you think that was to the life that you have now from doing what you did in the service, sir?
Oh, I guess it was, it gives you strength and I guess moral turpitude and that sort of stuff. And I just, like I said, it was more probably financial for me because I come from a really poor background. But it was, you have tough times in life. Everybody does. And I guess you can call upon those experiences when you were in the service and you had those times and you were resilient and you came through and everything else. And so I think in that way it's probably helped me be more courageous, brave, whatever.
How do you feel personally, sir, about the state-sponsored event that they put on for you, the Welcome Home event that we're doing now, sir?
This reunion thing?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a good thing. It's beneficial, but I guess I have some reservations sometimes about whether or not they might be overdoing this and rehashing a lot of stuff that maybe we shouldn't be rehashing. And I think it's beneficial for a lot of veterans to come here and whether it's therapeutic, whatever. But like I said, I think it's something that should probably be forgotten. I mean, it's something that I don't think we should dwell on as much as we probably do. I mean, I'm glad that they're having this reunion, and the reason I came here was because I felt like I didn't want to down the road think, well, regret not having come to this event. And I've enjoyed. I mean, the people have been great and friendly, and you can talk to anybody and about anything when you're here, which is probably to a certain degree, I guess, a little therapeutic too. But it's nice to reminisce with people that were in the same theater that you were. But I was a little reticent about coming here and hearing a bunch of war stories, which and that's what happens when you get a bunch of veterans together. So, but that's fine.
Would you have anything? I know a lot of the younger generations coming out. It's a lot of people are having a hard time talking and maybe opening up. Do you have maybe any suggestions to someone who might be returning from a deployment or something, using your experience that might be able to help them down the road, sir? Advice or tips or something that you think might be help them get on the right track where they can be productive,
just the things that hopefully while they were there they learned something beneficial that will make them productive members when they get back. But no, my particular experiences, I can't say that any particular one of them would benefit any person. Everybody's different. They just have to come back and adjust, and there's a lot of programs out there that can help veterans that have problems, whether they're psychological or physical or whatever. And I'm glad that they're there. And I think these veterans, but like I said, I think you don't want to continue to enable veterans, and make them, without them coming forth and producing something on their own. And if they were in the service, I'm sure they've got that moral courage and backbone to do that. They should.
All right. Do you gentlemen have any questions?
I do, sir. Going forward, how should we frame the Vietnam War? This has been a large event. A lot of people said it's overdue, and I understood. I think what you said, that maybe it's a little dangerous to rehash a lot of events, and I haven't thought about that, but I understand. I think what you were saying. what should we think from now on about Vietnam War and the service that you gave this country?
Well, like I said, I think you could probably frame it in the sense that it wasn't, quote, in my opinion, a necessary war like World War II and World War I were. But I think that it's, like you said, you have to separate the war from the warrior and what he performed and what he did versus your philosophical opinion about the war and whether or not it was something that we should have been involved in. I mean, we could rehash the whole thing about Iraq and Afghanistan, and everybody has their opinion about whether or not they're beneficial to America, and whether or not we have to stand up for our interests and our values and that sort of stuff in the world, but I don't think we should be the what do you want to call it, the police for the whole world. I don't think we should.
It does seem to me that America maybe is doing a better job of that. When you walk through an airport and you see servicemen today, you just feel the tremendous sense of being proud for that person, and you guys didn't have that back in your day. So is that a positive improvement in your life?
Yes, that's a great point that you bring that up. That's I think there's greater recognition of that now. And I don't know, I think back then, and why there was so much anti-war sentiment back here is hard to, most of it was among the college community and that sort of stuff, and they were probably, I don't know whether they just had that particular philosophy that they didn't think it was, and maybe they were more knowledgeable than the general public about what was going on, and whether or not it was, in their eyes, they didn't see it as a beneficial war, quote unquote, conflict.
When you were overseas, what did you hear that Americans at home were thinking? Or did you hear?
Well, yeah, we heard some stuff about, all of the riots, and I went to school at Colorado State University, and I remember hearing about them burning down one of the buildings and that sort of stuff. I mean, all of this stuff, I don't have any problem with protesters, but when they get violent like that, that's uncalled for, and it's not beneficial. It doesn't behoove any, or benefit anybody. It's a free country, and we have the right to express our views and stuff, but when you start damaging property and affecting other people's rights, then you're wrong. So, I mean, it's just simple as that.
I appreciate your wanting to visit with us. I really do.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you so very much.